Tina. She is in Florida, and she's been helping as many people as she can. And of course, they got our reporter, Neil McCabe, a satellite phone just in time. And he, of course, as we know, moved up to Destin. But again, they've been helping so many people in North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, now in Florida. So you're not only doing business with a great company that provides a great service, but they're great humanitarians as well. Tina, give us an update. What's going on in Florida?
Yeah, so our office, as you know, is located in Sarasota, Florida. That's where we're located. So today, once we shut down, I made sure that every employee left and went to safety, at least couple hours away. Some went to Orlando, some went to some of them went to Fort Lauderdale. So just make sure that safety is number one. So for right now, everybody's gone to safety. I actually left and came to San Diego.
Oh, you're already in San Diego.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually,
You moved quick.
Yeah, I did. I did move quick. I saw that thing and it looks like it's headed right over us. And it looks kind of scary.
Are you concerned for your building?
I am concerned for my home there. Yes.
Oh, you have a home and an office.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am very concerned. And I just looked at that and it just doesn't look natural for some reason.
So you're starting to agree with myself and many others that you feel like there's something going on here.
I don't know what it is, but something is really weird about this one.
Tell me what you think. Why?
It's just the direction. I mean, I've been monitoring hurricanes. This is why I got into this business to begin with. As you know, in 2005 in December, there was a tsunami and many people were killed. And I did a lot of research and realized that communication would have saved a lot of lives. And that's when, in 2005, was when I started this company. Was in January, because I did a lot of research and found that there is an alternative communication for people when cell towers and others go down. So anyways, so I've been following hurricanes and the path of the way that they move, and I have never seen seen that many that curve the way they curve and go to Florida. And I think that there's something weird about them, because I think whoever's doing this, I think recognizes the wind pattern, and that's just a weirdness. And also the size of these. I know Hurricane Katrina was huge, but Hurricane Katrina back in 2005, it spun around in the Gulf for many, many days to gain the strength and the size. This one is just fast. The last three, they've just been really fast, and they just grow really fast. They just look different and weird to me. They don't seem normal. And in the past, also, most of the hurricanes were happening in the Atlantic or, just below Cuba. And then they would come up through in the Gulf, where this one is, starting in the Pacific, kind of, and then it crosses over land. It's just different. Nothing that I've ever seen in my life, in my 20 years of following these hurricanes.
Well, have you seen it from space? Have you seen it from space, Tina?
I have not.
I think this is the International Space Station. Look at this. Look at this thing.
Yeah, it's insane size. It looks like it's bigger than the whole state of Florida. And it just happens so quickly, like not even a few days into the Gulf, and this thing has gained so much power. And not to mention, it has hit land a bit, especially down in Mexico. So it's very unusual, and I can't pinpoint what it is, but it just seems kind of off. So I'm starting to believe that these things can be
manipulated.
Yeah.
And we're going to obviously deal with one at a time here, but there's word out tonight that there may be another one forming that's a week or two away. So I guess we'll deal with one at a time, but this is really odd. All right, so tell me what yesterday you told me that the phones were ringing off the hook. A lot of them were our people. I even had my mother ask about what's the best one of these satellite phones to get. So we set her up with the 86 number and make sure she got the one. I told her the one we have here. But you did tell me yesterday that a lot of our people were calling in yesterday to get these Vivies to be able to text by phone, and then the satellite phones to text and talk. When you say you're hearing from a lot of our people, are they actually in Florida? Are they in other places? And what is the driving motivation? Is it also to do with the election coming up and World War III threats and just all of it all the way around?
Yeah, so, for as far as the people, it seems like most of the people are walking into the office. Yesterday, we just had nonstop people coming in, the police, the city, the hospitals, people from all kinds of emergency.
They're buying your phones.
They're buying the phones. Wow. Because they know that. I mean, I doubt very much if there's going to be cell coverage after this hurricane passes anywhere from Venice all the way, to Tampa. St. Peter's, I think, is going to get a big hit as well. Sarasota is going to get quite a hit, I believe. I think this is going to hit Category 3 or 4. I'm not 100% sure. Helene hit us at basically just a Category 1, and it did a lot of damage. It just wasn't really shown because most people were focused on North Carolina because that one, got hit really bad. So Helene did hit Florida, the coast of Florida. And so there's still a lot of floods, and there's still a lot of people that are not in their homes because their house was flooded from Dolly, and then Helene, and then now this one. So yeah, we are we're taking a beating, and I hope that the next one isn't gonna have the same path. So
let me go back to our callers. Where are our calls coming from, our listeners all over the country, and do you get a sense from them why many of them are now going to the Bivy or to the satellite phones?
Yeah, so a lot of people that outside of the folks, the emergency responders in Florida, a lot of people are kind of like thinking, you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to get my phone. I'm going to get my communication. I'm going to get food. I'm going to get water, because they're recognizing that a lot of the rescues that Steve Slustovic, which is a first responder that we support, was taking, medication. People didn't have enough insulin. People didn't have baby formula for their babies. It's just unbelievable how unprepared we are. Water, food, just the basic things, because the roads were blocked, so they couldn't go to the stores to buy these things. There's no gas. So there's no gasoline to be able to drive anywhere, even if you can drive.
We're now hearing there are 1,000+ gas stations without gas so far now in Florida, and it's approaching 20% now in Florida without gas at the gas station. 20%.
Yeah, in Sarasota, there's nowhere. There's nowhere unless you filled up yesterday or the day before. You're not getting gas, and a lot of our satellite phones were hand delivered, and we hired a courier to go deliver them all over the state, whether it was in Fort Lauderdale, whatever, Orlando, Tampa, and the couriers couldn't deliver anymore because there's no gas. So we halted. So we couldn't hand deliver any more phones today because of that issue. And then the customers couldn't drive by from, Orlando, a couple hours away because there's no gas stations in their areas where they can get gas. So yeah, so we're just, it's teaching, even me, there's a lot of things that we don't even think about that we need to be prepared about. We definitely need to keep our gas tanks full all the time. I know a lot of people wait until they're down to half a gallon of gas before they go fill up. And here, I'm in California, and here in California, you could have an earthquake, any moment. There's no warning. And then what do? If you have no gas, you can't leave. It's just kind of crazy how unprepared we are. So we need to educate. I think you and other influencers, the more that you talk about it, to educate people to be more prepared with, food, water, communication, gas, pretty much everything. And I think that would be very helpful. And eventually, when people hear it enough, they prepare themselves.
Yeah, let's hope they do. Let's look at a couple of the models. I know some of the stations are using the technology to try to give people an idea of what's coming. Take a look at this.
So what does that look like? Well, let's show you. Imagine this. Imagine 3 feet of storm surge right here. Now, if this amount of water catches you by surprise, it's too late to evacuate. Cars are floating around and floating away. There's large objects in here that could knock things down with a battering ram-like force. Now, there's no way, again, to evacuate with this kind of storm surge. But we know there's going to be places with more than 3 feet. Imagine 6 feet of storm surge. Now, this completely floods out the first floors of homes and businesses, and the only way to escape that is to move to the higher floor of a building. Now, unfortunately, there are going to be places that get more than 6 feet of storm surge flooding. Imagine this, 9 feet and even beyond of flooding, of inundation. This is practically not survivable. So please follow the advice of your local officials when they ask you to evacuate. And if you have any questions about what evacuation zone you're in, if you need to go and or where you need to go to floridadisaster.org. And by all means, everybody, please stay safe.
And you know what? The folks in North Carolina provided footage of walls of water coming and just, tossing around those steel box cars, like Matchbox cars, bending them around telephone poles, like they were nothing. I mean, the force of moving water is just, I think, something, unless you've been through it or seen it a lot, people just don't realize just how dangerous it is, which is, of course, what happens when people think, oh, it's not a big deal, and they drive their car across a flooded road thinking they're fine. Next thing you know, they're underwater.
Yeah. And not to mention, you can't even go outside if there's a hurricane coming, because no matter what hits you, even if it's a sponge, it will knock you out. Because remember, it's over 100 miles per hour, and there's a lot of debris that's flying around. I was outside doing Hurricane Debbie, which barely hit us, and I went on a beach, and just the sand, and I just ran out of the beach as quickly as I can, because just the sand hitting your skin was really painful. So imagine, and pretty much anything that's hitting you. So yeah, I highly recommend evacuation. I made sure that all the employees left town or went somewhere at least a couple hours inland. And I know that this hurricane will still hit at Category 2 in Orlando and others, but at least they'll be, if they're in a hotel, they'll be higher up and they'll be safer there than they would be staying in Sarasota.
Let's go real quick to the website, preparedness here, folks, as we're talking about preparedness. Worldviewtalk.com. We've talked about the bulletproof backpacks. I mean, I have one down here. This thing is heavy. It's a really heavy backpack. It's bulletproof in the front and the back. They have, of course, the solar generators. I have the Delta Echo 400 solar generator. They have the satellite phones, as we've talked about. Some people are saying, how do I find the Bivy? Look for that red arrow right there, and then advance, and you'll find the Bivy sold in 2-packs and 3-packs. Those allow you to text through a satellite. Let me just go to the whole issue of the satellite. There's 60-something satellites that your company works off of, right?
Yeah, so Iridium has 66 satellites, because I think it's the 66th element, right, Iridium? So that's why it's called Iridium. So they have 66 satellites, and they have backups. They're all low orbit. So Iridium covers the whole globe. So cell phones coverage 7% of the Earth when they're working, and then where Iridium satellite covers 100% of the Earth. And when you take an Iridium phone, the reason why these will work through the storm, and when the storm takes down the cell towers, these will still work, because here's your cell tower. You carry it with you wherever you go. So you have your own cell tower, you go outside, you power this on, make sure the antenna is pointed to the sky. And then also when you dial and you put the phone over your ear, make sure that you put the antenna. A lot of people say, I lost connection. Well, you got to make sure that you have your antenna pointed to the sky, and you'll be able to make a call from every place on the whole planet Earth.
Excellent. All right, let's go back to the website again. They're the generators, and they have all kinds of solar generators. Again, I have the Delta Echo 400. What they have ones that will run your entire house, folks. Again, you can get information from them by just going to worldviewtalk.com or that 866 number 1-866-738-3224, 1-866-738-3224. I have no idea what else these people are planning in regards to social unrest. I have no idea what the terrorists are planning that are here. We do know that it came out yesterday that a massive company related to water facilities that millions of Americans are under, including 18 military bases, have been suffering from cyber attacks. So again, we are under threat between our power grid, our water infrastructure, terrorism, natural disasters. We could have a Carrington event. We're in a high upcrease now in solar flares and Carrington events, which our friend, the late Dr. Peter Vincent Pry warned us about. Are you aware of those, the Carrington events and solar flares, Tina?
No, I am not aware of those. I'm sorry. I do know that we do have a lot of solar flares, and that's the reason why you do need the Faraday bags, because the solar flares can affect your technology. A lot of times when we have those high solar flares and people's like, oh, well, my computer isn't working right. It's like, well, have you checked? There's solar flares today. And that's the reason why. So yeah, that's the reason why having Faraday products will protect your technology from EMP, from solar flares, from EMF. It also gives you security, especially like your laptop. When you're done working, you know that your company is still tracking you. So you take the company laptop and you put it inside of a Faraday bag, the tracking stops. Your company has no right to track you or see what you're doing after hours. So it's for security purposes, you do need to have that. And that backpack that you said heavy, Brandon, that backpack
the Super Solar.
Yeah, go ahead.
It can hold a 17-inch laptop. It's also got pockets, Faraday pockets, to hold your cell phones, your key fobs from people stealing your identity, your wallet from people stealing your credit cards. It also has for your cell phone. So it's got a bunch of Faraday pockets for your protection.
Highly recommend.
So, and yeah. And
Here I got a little video for you. Let me play a little video on the Carrington event, by the way, because right now solar storms are kicking up. I don't know if people are following it the way we are, but solar storms are kicking up. And my buddy, the late Dr. Peter Vincent Pry, in fact, go to a wide shot, Logan. Go to a wide shot to my library. Let me bend down here and pick up. All right. Here's some of the books by my friend, the late Dr. Peter Vincent Pry, was a CIA analyst. Apocalypse Unknown, the struggle to protect America from an electromagnetic pulse catastrophe. And you notice he has the sun on there. And again, he's talking all about a Carrington event and what a Carrington event is all about. This is again, nature. So take a look at this real quick, Tina. You'll find this interesting.
The super solar storm that occurred in 1859, also known as the Carrington event, was a powerful geomagnetic storm that had a significant impact on Earth. It was named after the British astronomer Richard Carrington, who observed a large solar flare just before the storm. The solar storm was the result of a massive coronal mass ejection, CME, from the Sun, which sent a burst of energetic particles and electromagnetic radiation hurtling towards the Earth. The impact of the 1859 solar storm was profound. The CME caused intense geomagnetic disturbances, leading to widespread auroras that were visible as far south as the Caribbean and Hawaii. The auroras were so bright that they reportedly woke up people in the middle of the night and caused confusion among animals. The geomagnetic disturbances also disrupted telegraph systems around the world. Sparks flew from telegraph equipment, starting fires in some cases, and telegraph operators received electric shocks. In some instances, telegraph operators were able to send and receive messages even after disconnecting their power supplies, thanks to the induced electric currents in the telegraph lines. While the impact of the 1859 solar storm was primarily limited to the telegraph systems of the time, a similar event today would have far-reaching consequences due to our reliance on modern technology. A super solar storm of that magnitude could potentially damage or disrupt satellites, power grids, communication systems, and other infrastructure, leading to widespread and long-lasting effects on our daily lives. Scientists and researchers are actively studying the potential impacts of a similar event in the modern era and working on strategies to mitigate its effects. Understanding the behavior of the sun and developing improved forecasting and warning systems are crucial steps in preparing for future solar storms.
Yep, they are. And in this book right here, The Power and the Light, this was the last book, I think, that Dr. Peter Pry wrote before he passed away 2 years ago this past August. He has a whole section here on solar superstorms and what they mean and when they've occurred. We had one occur back in 1989. Widespread, that was in Canada, Quebec. Widespread radio communications blackouts, including Radio Free Europe, which was the U.S., which the U.S. mistakenly believed was being jammed by the USSR. UN peacekeepers from Australia operating in the Namibia lost shortwave radio communications. 30 satellites disrupted or damaged. Space shuttle Discovery in orbit at the time experienced sensor disruption. So the power went down for a while. Nonetheless, the North American Electric Reliability Corporation correctly pretends that the 1989 Hydro Quebec storm is a once-in-a-century solar superstorm. So NERC and electric utilities openly have to prepare for the Hydro Quebec storm's natural EMP GMD threat of 8 volts per kilometer. And he goes on to talk about how a lot of people just don't take this thing seriously. They can just come right off the sun. And that by the way, that if anyone just goes on to like say X and types in solar storm, you'll find all kinds of guys that are professionals that are tracking these solar storms, and they got telescopes watching them come off the sun constantly. So add this to other natural disasters. Closing thoughts, Tina?
Yeah, and we actually get those. We got a big one last month. We got a big one back in February, it never makes the news. Personally, if you're the only person not the only person, but you'd have to turn into a podcast to hear about these things. It's not going to be on the news. And when people's electronics aren't working or they get damaged and they're like, oh, what happened? And they just think that something happened to them and then they go replace them. Well, you know what? You could do stuff to protect your electronics. You can put them in an EMF or EMP bag. Electromagnetic pulse can be done 2 ways. It can be used by the bad guys to take our electronics down, or from the sun.
Yep.
So be prepared. I also want to say that we did make a handbag for ladies too that have Faraday inside the handbag, so that the woman can put her cell phone, her wallet, her key fob, so she can't be tracked, and for safety. So once your cell phone is inside the Faraday bag, then there's no one can track you, no one can stalk you, no one can copy your credit card or your key fob. It is impossible. So I highly recommend the ladies out there protect themselves with from EMF, also for your health, right? So cell phones are generating a huge amount of EMF to us. Put your cell phone in a Faraday bag for 1 week when you go to sleep, instead of sitting right next to your bed, and see the difference. When you wake up in the morning, you're going to have a lot less headaches and you're going to feel much, much better. All of us, I used to do the same thing. I used to put the cell phone right next to my bed and would pick it up every, when I'd get up in the morning to see the time. But I don't do that anymore. I keep my phone. Done a lot of research. It's causing a record amount of thyroid cancer in people. It's so bad for you. And there's also Faraday blankets.
I have these right there, don't I? Is that what this is?
Yeah. So you can cover your body. So at least 8 hours. Most of us sleep for about 8 hours a night. So at least for 8 hours, you protect yourself from EMF.
Hit the wrong button, guys. All right.
You can also use that blanket. What I use it to is I cover all of my Wi-Fi equipments when I go to bed at night. So
and you put this in your lap. Put the smaller one in your lap when you're using your laptop computer.
Yeah. And or if you get one of those laptop Faraday bags, put the laptop on top of that, because the Faraday will protect the EMF from going into your body. A lot of the EMF that comes from the laptop and iPad comes from the battery being heated. And if you notice, a lot of people are also, their hand gets numb when they hold their phone for a long time. Well, that's all EMF. That's all damaging. Somehow, some way it's damaging your body. We just don't know how much. They know how much. There's 60 studies that have been done, and they know how bad it is, but they don't want us to know.
Of course they don't. Yeah. Look, and here's the big backpack. I mean, this thing is amazing. It's so well built. I mean, this thing is so well built. The construction on it is this thing is very, very rugged. It is bulletproof front and back. Again, I just can't comment enough on how quality, everything from the zippers to just the stitching. This is a really quality bag at worldviewtalk.com. And it's bulletproof front and back.
Yeah, and it's Faraday bag everywhere. So any electronics that you put in there, guess what? Nobody can track you.
Excellent. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com. We'll be praying for your safety for your staff still in Florida. Glad you are in California, that you made it there. Thank you again for all your generosity of getting satellite phones and working with all these first responders in North Carolina, East Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, and now, of course, the whole state of Florida. You're doing a great work. Thank you. And thank you, because, again, you're obviously a big support to this network financially, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care, and God bless you.
You too.
And bless the audience.
Thank you. Tina checking in. Folks, please do business with them. Please use that 866 number. Now, all of our sponsors, they only pay us when you do business with them. So please do business with them, all right? These are legitimate companies with legitimate products. And as you can see, she's a regular guest here now. We've known about Tina now for several years, and we appreciate her so much. So please do business with this company, because you're helping yourself and us at the same time. And again, no time to fool around. Go right away to www.tvstore.com. Get all your freeze-dried food. We have half off the freeze-dried food now. Get 3 months, 6 month, a year, 2 year, instant coffee, gluten-free, vegetable, and fruit. I mean, folks, this is, again, something you should have. I have 2 to 3 years worth. I've lost track. I just have a lot, because I'm just not fooling around, and I want to be able to barter with it. And I don't know who else I might have to help, and the guys that work for us. And we know a couple folks in our area that are single moms with children. So we're just not going to be in a position where we want to turn people away that are needy. We want at least send them down the road with a bucket or two, or do what we can. So we're putting away a little extra, and we don't know how long something could last. I just don't trust this government. So again, I would stock up if I were you guys. 25-year shelf life. If you want to order over the phone, you can call 901-825-0652, 901-825-0652. Again, 901-825-0652. All right? A great way to support us and your family at the same time. And tell all your family and friends about it. Tell your family and friends about www.tvstore.com. Stop right now, tweet, text, email, Facebook, Getter, True Social, say, hey, there's a guy out there that's had this website since 2016, warning people to get ready since 2016. And you can get emergency supplies and emergency foods at www.tvstore.com. So help us, because this is also a big part of our general operating budget. Remember, we got to generate 40 grand a year to keep this network, 40 grand a month. I wish it were a year. 40 grand a month to keep this network afloat, just paying our expenses, our bills. All right? www.tvstore.com. All right, that's our broadcast for tonight. As always, we appreciate your joining us and supporting us. Don't forget about all our brand new apps. worldviewtube.com/apps. You'll be able to find out about them right there. Roku, our iOS app. We have a new one coming for Android. We have an Amazon Fire channel. Well, right now you can see where the new apps are and how to get to them by going to worldviewtube.com/apps, worldviewtube.com/apps. Now, folks, we need your support. Please, www.foundation.com, www.foundation.com. And again, don't think that committing to $5 a month, $10 a month is not important. It all adds up. So please consider going right now to www.foundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail, www.foundation.com. I know we've been going over our normal 9 o'clock Central Time slot, but lots of important news, so we'll do that to bring you the news. Thanks for watching. May God save America. Take care.